gunman opens fire at an ICE facility in Dallas. At least one person is dead, according to police, and we are live with the very latest. Welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. I'm Pamela Brown. Wolf Blitzer has the morning off, and you're in the Situation Room.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And we begin with the breaking news. A gunman opens fire at an ICE facility in Dallas, killing at least one person and wounding two others. Law enforcement officials tell CNN that at least two detainees were shot. According to the deputy director of ICE, no ICE officers were injured and the shooter is deceased. We are told ICE employees, civilians, and immigrant detainees are among those at that facility. We are awaiting a news conference any moment, and of course, we'll bring that to you as soon as it starts. But let's go straight to CNN's Priscilla Alvarez. Priscilla, what is the latest?
Well, Pamela, we're still gathering details as to what exactly unfolded here, but we are learning more from the Dallas police, which moments ago said what transpired this morning in a post on X. Let me read some of that to you. They said that they responded at about 6:40 a.m. to an assist officer call at this facility. They went on to say that the preliminary investigation determined that a suspect opened fire at a government building from an adjacent building, and went on to say that two people were transported to the hospital with gunshot wounds, as you mentioned, one of whom died at the scene, and that the suspect is deceased. Now, the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, on our air this morning saying that the suspect was dead from a self-inflicted wound. And what my sources tell me is that at least two detainees were shot when this happened. Now, just to give you a little bit of context as to what the facility is, this Dallas ICE facility is generally a place used to process detainees. So they may be arrested by ICE, taken to this facility to be processed, where there are about 3 or 4 holding cells. So generally there are a few dozen people at the facility before they are then transferred to a detention center. Now, we still do not know the motive of this shooter. We'll hopefully learn more about that in the forthcoming presser. But what we do know from Homeland Security officials is that no ICE agents were shot or hurt during this incident. That's what they have said so far. But they are also highlighting that there have been increased assaults, attacks, and threats on ICE personnel. In fact, this particular facility was the target of a bomb threat in late August. So the Department of Homeland Security similarly saying that they do not have yet a motive for this shooter, but they are tying this as well to what they have seen across the country, which is this increase in attacks toward ICE personnel. Take a listen to what the acting ICE director had to say about that this morning.
Never seen threats on law enforcement, specifically ICE, increase the way it is. You know, we're up over 1,000% assaults on officers right now. And really just a lot of the talk that's out there, a lot of the rhetoric is just the violence directed towards law enforcement officers just trying to do their job. And we just keep seeing an increase.
Now, again, I want to stress that the motive here is unknown. We're still trying to gather details on that. But what we do know is that at least two of those who were shot were detainees. There have been injuries, at least one person killed. The shooter died from a self-inflicted wound. And according to the Department of Homeland Security, no ICE agents were shot or hurt in this incident. We'll hopefully learn a lot more in the press conference in the minutes to come. Pamela?
All right, I want to bring in Charles Ramsey for more on this. I know, Charles, we are expecting to hear from police there in Dallas. There's still a lot of questions. We don't know a motive. How are you looking at this? What questions do you have?
Well, certainly, hopefully we'll get a lot more information as the press conference unfolds. But right now, behind the scenes, what's going on, the shooter is dead. So they've either already identified him or they're in the process of identifying, which will lead to search warrants, a look at his social media footprint. Did he leave anything behind? Trying to determine motive. We know we have one dead, two detainees shot. Was the intent to shoot detainees or was it to shoot ICE agents? I mean, we just don't know, whether or not the deceased individual was a detainee as well. Mm-hmm. So there are an awful lot of unanswered questions. I'm sure the FBI will be involved in this since it happened at a federal facility along with the Dallas PD. So hopefully we begin to get a picture of what actually took place once the press conference is completed.
And we should note that there has been an uptick in attacks on ICE facilities, ICE officials. In fact, there has been over 800% spike when compared to the previous year in terms of assaults on officers. So you have that, plus the fact that this same facility in Dallas had been targeted before with a bomb threat. Are you surprised a gunman was able to get there and get through whatever security there is and carry this out?
Well, from what we know so far, this was apparently a sniper. I don't know how far away the sniper was from the facility itself. The security they had in place there, and probably at ICE facilities and federal facilities for that matter, around the country, are basically protecting the building itself, in and around the building, which doesn't take into account a sniper. We don't know how far the person was, the kind of weapon it was used, obviously probably a rifle of some sort, in order to make a shot. But there are a lot of unanswered questions. But yes, I'm sure that security's been increased. I mean, this is very controversial what ICE is doing right now, but these officers are only doing their jobs, and they're doing it to the direction of the president. So, this is something that's controversial and certainly, unfortunately, not surprising in the current environment we find ourselves in today. But it's unfortunate someone lost their life, whoever that individual is.
And the Vice President, J.D. Vance, just tweeted out, quote, "The obsessive attack on law enforcement, particularly ICE, must stop. I'm praying for everyone hurt in this attack and for their families." Again, at this early stage in the investigation, officials are saying that ICE officials were not injured in this. We know that 2 were shot, 1 was killed. So we're awaiting more details. But given this threat environment, what should happen moving forward in terms of protecting, as you said, these ICE agents who were just carrying out orders from the president?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a security assessment done at all federal facilities, but I would argue it goes beyond federal facilities. I mean, political violence in general is taking place in our country, and those high-profile individuals, elected officials, or federal employees, and so forth, need to do a threat assessment to make sure that they're taking steps necessary in order to secure themselves. It won't be 100% foolproof, but at least review what you currently are doing to see whether or not there are additional steps, whether you need drones to check rooftops or whatever it might be. I don't know the answer, but I do know that you do need to assess where you are right now and what you may need to do in the future to do all you can to protect the people who work in these facilities.
The gunman is dead, according to officials. So how does that complicate this investigation in terms of identifying a motive?
Well, I mean, he probably left something behind. They've either already identified this individual, or they certainly can identify him through fingerprints and various other means. And they're going through social media posts. They're going through a vehicle, if he drove a vehicle there, all these kinds of things to try to uncover a motive. Sometimes you never do determine a motive. I think in this case, you probably will. He took his own life, probably left something behind. Some of these guys want, the world to know why they did what they did, even though it may not make a lot of sense to us. To them, it makes sense. And so I'd be surprised if eventually they don't uncover a motive in this particular case.
Right. And just to be clear, I'm not sure if we've identified whether the shooter is a male or female. So we're just waiting for more details, hopefully, from police there in Dallas. And as we await for officials to come and answer questions, tell us a little bit more about what you would want to ask them if you were there at that press conference.
Well, one question we just talked about, and that is, do you have a motive? Who is the shooter? I mean, do you have an ID? Are you able to share that information? They may not be able to, because in the early stages of an investigation, even if you know who the shooter is, you want time to be able to not only see social media and conduct search warrants, but you want to be able to interview family, friends, all those kinds of things. And once that name is out there, it makes it even more difficult. What kind of weapon did this individual use? How far away was that person? Do you believe the target was actually detainees, or was he actually shooting at ICE agents? Were the detainees outdoors? Under what were the circumstances where they were exposed to sniper fire? I mean, these are all things that I'd kind of want to know at this stage in the investigation. Some of that information you'll be able to get, some of it you won't, because it is in the early stages.
But it's important to get those answers to protect and address vulnerabilities at these facilities, right? So, Charles Ramsey, thank you so much. Priscilla Alvarez, thank you as well.